Well, good evening and welcome to the Alpha Ice Complex here in Harmarville. This is Matt Gajtka on the call on YouTube tonight as Peters Township tries to break a three-game losing streak. Their first three-game losing streak in a couple of seasons at least, at 3-3 taking on the Central Catholic Vikings. And the puck is dropped and we are underway. Peters Township in the red and Central Catholic in some newer uniforms, kind of an off-white color to these. The traditional gold helmets and blue pants. Blue and gold trim on the jerseys. Mark Lehman, leading scorer for PT and second leading scorer in Class AAA, dumps this puck into the far left wing corner. It'll be chipped away from the boards by Alejandro Pietz of Central Catholic and chipped on out to center by the captain, Michael Sawicki. Ripped right back in by the Indians, attacking from left to right from my perspective here in the broadcast perch at the Alpha Complex, one of the better places to call a game in all of the PIHL. Indians working on the puck in the offensive zone, but it's flipped on past Seth Hanna, the senior defenseman. He'll chase back into his own end. It stops short of the icing line. Back to retrieve it now, Michael Facciano for Central Catholic. Put it out toward the high slot and gathered up by Nico Castracani, who puts it below the goal line. Referee's hand is in the air. We have a delayed penalty coming up, our first penalty of this game, and it'll go against, it appears, the Peters Township. No, it'll be Central Catholic, pardon me. PT had the puck when the whistle sounded, so I thought it would be a penalty against them, and I guess it is. We have some confusion here. Initially, CJ Simeone of Central Catholic skated over to the penalty box for the home side. Instead, it's Hunter Ferguson, number 78 of the Indians, the senior defenseman, who heads off for a cross-check. And, by the way, the clock did not start in time. It still says 16:48 on the clock. We play 17-minute periods. I'm not sure anybody noticed it. It doesn't appear they did. So the first power play for Central Catholic will technically come in 12 seconds after the opening faceoff, even though it wasn't really that in gameplay time. The clock is functioning now, and here we go. Central Catholic gets the power play. So PT short for the first time. The Indians have killed off 80% of their penalty kill chances this season so far with that 3-3 record. The Vikings of Central Catholic, 30% on the power play, 7 for 23. Shot from center point, save made by the goaltender Alex Wilbert, who makes his season debut tonight, by the way. And he looks on as CJ Simeone tried to dish it back out to the right point, and Dane Martin couldn't control it. Martin, senior defender, three goals on the year, 4 total points. Martin circles the goal, but his pass skips under the stick of Jojo Palawanik. And Palawanik will dish this puck in behind his net. Dane Martin will take. Central Catholic making some piecemeal changes while on the power play. They're still working the puck out of their own zone, are the Vikings. Here's a lead feed for Facciano, who gains the blue line down the right wing. Centers it, and it's intercepted by Caden Slavin of Peters Township, and he clears out to the Central Catholic blue line. Back on the attack of the Vikings, Rocco Salvitti, long-range shot from the right wing, patted away by Wilbert. Wilbert back between the pipes for the Indians here in game number 6. Chance for Colin McCarthy to shoot on the move, but he couldn't snap it off before it bobbled off his stick and in behind the Peters Township net. 30 seconds to go in the Hunter Ferguson minor penalty for cross-checking. Kaz Monchak, first-year varsity defender, gets to this puck for the Indians and chips it down the wall and all the way down the ice. Just 18 seconds to go on the first special team situation of the evening. Mark Lehman has a couple of shorthanded goals this season, takes the puck in center ice for the Indians, moves to the right circle and snaps that hard wrist shot of his high to the left, but it caroms all the way out to center and back in the possession of the Indians and Seth Hanna. And Seth Hanna will fire it down the ice just after the penalty ran out, so just a slight mental mistake there. He didn't realize that the Indians were back to full strength, so it goes for an icing call. 14:41 to go in the first period. Indians survived the first shorthanded situation of the night for them. The puck will be dropped to the left of Alex Wilbert of Peters Township. Mark Lehman, senior center, yanks it over to the far wall. That's where Hunter Ferguson shoots it around the wood. Eric Wilbert. Couple of chops here on this near side. Gets some help from Mark Lehman, who feeds it ahead to Drew Wilbert, but he can't control it as he gains the line, and it's back in the possession of the Vikings. Max Saganik put it against the grain there for Sawicki. Now in the near corner. Central Catholic zone. Turning back away from some forward-checking pressure. Palawanik fed it down the boards, back into the neutral zone, and Seth Hanna had the cross-ring pass jump off his stick and into the Peters Township bench. So we'll face it off in the neutral zone. Shots 3-0 in favor of the Vikings. Just about 4 minutes into this game. Bringing you the broadcast tonight on my YouTube channel. Facebook Live changed some, I guess you would call it requirements. So it's not linking up with my software this evening. So sorry if you were looking for it on Facebook and you're accessing it right now. A little different tonight, but it appears the stream is up and running. The Wi-Fi signal is good to go here at the Alpha for this 9 o'clock face-off. Shot off the top of the net. It stays on top of the net. Hunter Ferguson somehow, if he tried to do that 100 times, he wouldn't be able to pull it off again. He floated that shot over the glove hand of freshman goaltender Jacob Dold, and it just dropped on top of the net and stayed there. You might see that once every 100 games, maybe 200 games. I know I haven't seen that in a long, long time. So the faceoff stays in the offensive zone, luckily for the Indians, but Seth Hanna turns it over in the neutral ice area. Back for a wrist shot is Facciano, but it's gobbled up by Wilbert. Good to see his calm presence back between the pipes for the Indians. He's been out due to a lower body injury this year. Last season, a .927 save percentage and a 2.32 goals against average. Basically the workhorse last year, especially late in the season, as he got more of the starts as opposed to then senior Brock Sharbaugh. Now Alex Wilbert is the senior, part of a four-man goaltending group for Rick Tingle's Indians. A snap pass aerial by Bray Sainert of the Indians goes off the glove of Ryder Mertens, lone freshman in the lineup for PT on the road here tonight. Owen Barrett tried to feed it up the near side wall, and it's broken up. Back with it come the Vikings. Sam Gaffney into the corner. Gaffney gets some help there from Tyler Gaffney. Both Gaffneys on the ice now for Central Catholic. Colin McCarthy from the line, wristed it towards some traffic in front, never got through. Barrett broke it up. Barrett makes a pass over on this near side for Anthony Foltz. And Foltz, the junior, rings it around the horn for Peters Township and gets off the ice. Bray center on the puck for the Indians. Try to give it back to the point for Aiden Alexander, but he's overwhelmed there by Tyler Gaffney, the freshman for Central Catholic. Here's Alexander, though, stretching out to get it over the line and shot one wide of the net from just outside the right dot in the attack zone. Max Saganek gained the red line and shot in. I guess he didn't gain the red line. Must have been an icing call. A couple of Vikings on the forecheck there as well, but not an offside. It is icing as the faceoff will come back into Vikings territory. I mentioned the Indians of Peters Township have experienced something quite rare in the recent history of this program. That's a 3-game losing streak. They were 3-0-0 to start the season. Now 3-3 after losses to North Allegheny, Upper St. Clair, and Seneca Valley. What was uncharacteristic, especially about the start of that streak, both of those losses to NA and USC were at home down at Princescape in South Point. Chayton Ringwald regrouping in the neutral ice area for Peters Township. Bounces this one to the side of the Central Catholic net. Jacob Dold holds it up there. Dold making his 5th appearance in 6 games for Central Catholic and head coach William Connolly. Dold an .848 save percentage and a 3.75 goals against. Rough one last time out. Gave up 7 goals to Cannon McMillan in a 7-6 loss. Here's a shot from Michael Facciano off the crossbar from Central Catholic as the Vikings came back the other way from the left wing side. A little snapper there, and it went over the glove of Wilbert, off the iron, and up into the protective netting with 11:45 to go in a scoreless first period. 4 shots on goal for Central Catholic. That one doesn't count, but it was the closest chance so far. So the Vikings on their toes to start this one on home ice. Last time out, Central Catholic trailed 3-0 after 1 and 6-3 midway through the third. Ended up making really interesting, did the Vikings. They lost 7-6 to Cannon Mac. But the Vikings showed some fight in that one. A couple of times they could have easily given up down 3 on 2 separate occasions. Long-range shot from Saganek, sticked away to the side wall by Wilbert. And there is his brother Drew, the Wilbert quadruplets. All varsity players this year, all seniors. And 2 of them are on the ice right now, skating up ice. Drew Wilbert shot it from the left side, and that bangs off the glove of Dold, and it caroms over to the corner. Seth Hanna faked a shot, now fired at cross rink. Wrister from Ferguson, deflected off a body, chipped in front of the net, and Dold didn't know where it was. Neither did many of the Vikings. A Wrister, a fall-away style from Mark Lehman, is sticked away by Dold. Out to the line, Ferguson, down the boards. Lehman to Eric Wilbert. It slides right through to Mark Lehman out in the high slot. Lehman kicked it to his stick, but couldn't make a play, and the Vikings clear out to center. 10.5 to go in the first period. No score. Hunter Ferguson tried to shoot it on goal, but getting a stick in there, Dane Martin of Central Catholic. Eric Wilbert hopping on this puck. It's the two Wilberts alongside Lehman. Well, it was. Now John Camp, the junior center, takes Lehman's spot out there. Indians in the midst of a change. Eric Wilbert goes over to Camp. Camp gathers the puck on his backhand in the low slot, but couldn't get the shot on target. Now Drew Wilbert cutting in, has some room. Shot it low, and it was blocked in front of the net. I think Dom Veltri got a piece. And again, the Vikings shoot it out to center, but now here come the Tribe. Just the one shot on net so far for the Indians, but they're buzzing. Last couple of shifts have been solid. Dane Martin blasted off the glass. Down it goes for an icing call. Referee Rhymes with his hand in the air. He makes the signal and blows the whistle. Rhymes and Miller, I believe I saw, are the two referees tonight. Again, this is Matt Gajtka coming to you from the Alpha Ice Complex, home of the Central Catholic Vikings and a couple other teams in the PIHL. But in Class AAA, it's theirs alone. Aiden Alexander hoists it down the wall after the face-off win for PT. Camp, a sharp angle shot, sails wide of the net. Barrett from the right point dumps it down the kick plate. The battle's on for it at the half wall. Joining the party is Dylan McElhaney of Peters Township, but it hops loose for Beckham Alger, freshman defender. Colin McCarthy now handed it over to Camp in the slot. It's still loose right in front of the Central Catholic net and picked up by Jack Zakin over toward the left corner. The pass out to the left point and Alexander. Now it's Zakin on the overlapping shot. He wristed it from 55 feet and it sailed off the glass high to the right. Vikings trying to make something happen here. It's Sam Gaffney. Gaffney drove it down the boards, and that's another icing, or no, pardon me, that's a penalty coming up. And I thought it was dumped in from well inside the red line, and it was. It'll be Peters Township going shorthanded again, roughing the call against John Camp, the Indians' number 9. Power play coming up with 9:01 to go in the first period. No score. Peters Township and Central Catholic, a couple of teams in the middle of the early season standings. Central Catholic, it's been a wild ride for the Vikings lately. They've gone 2-3 despite averaging more than 4 goals per game, and they've scored 12 in their past 2. But that's just been good for a 1-1 record. I mentioned the 7-6 loss to Cannon Mac. They demolished Butler 6-1 at Butler up at Frozen Pond in Valencia a couple of weeks ago. Indians get the face-off win and get the quick clear, so Central Catholic has to come 200 feet with it. Rocco Salvitti, bank pass ahead. Maybe the Vikings have something, but it's broken up. Nice little play there from Seth Hanna between the circles and his own end to just put his hands close together on the stick and chop it away. And now it's in the possession of Hunter Ferguson, and Ferguson lifts it down the rink. Dane Martin cleared it around the far side wall in the Central Catholic end. It'll be picked up by Facciano. Nice little backhand dish on the money to Sawicki. Sawicki gives it over to Simeone and puts it on net, and it's in the glove of Wilbert, and no rebound there with Simeone going hard to the cage, as was Sawicki looking for a loose puck, but there was none to be found. 8:20 left in the first period. Both these teams are scoring plenty of goals early on, both averaging right around 4 per game. Indians a little bit lower than 4. Vikings a little bit more than 4, but goals against have been an issue. They've both allowed more than their share. Hence their records either at or slightly below 500 in the case of Central Catholic. The Vikings power play goes to work again, though. They control this draw. It'll be taken on by Colin McCarthy. McCarthy lost possession to Aiden Alexander. Alexander over on the far side. 2-on-2 scrum. Tyler Gaffney pries it free. Gaffney pulling it to his backhand out high in the zone. Gaffney harassed by Lehman. Lehman nearly pulled it away, but Gaffney keeps it. The freshman wins that physical battle against the rangy, strong senior in Mark Lehman. Drew Wilbert can't take this rim around. So it'll be fired back in deep by Alex Peluso to the side of the net, and a wrist shot from McCarthy stopped by Wilbert off the blocker hand. Out to the point. Shot through traffic by Saganek. Didn't get through. Still free high in the Peters Township zone, though. McCarthy, but then it's broken up. And back out to the Vikings line. 30 seconds to go in the John Camp roughing minor. No score, first period here at Alpha Ice Complex. Owen Barrett on the retrieval for the Indians behind his net. Handed it over to Aiden Alexander. Gave it up the ice to Drew Wilbert. And Drew Wilbert will lift this one, bouncing in below the Central Catholic goal line. One last rush perhaps for Saganek and the Vikings. Put it toward the middle. Broken up by Lehman, but Saganek follows up and takes his own care. Dropped it off. Now it's taken over by Aiden Alexander of PT, and the Indians are about to go back to full strength. Alexander driving down the wall. He's got a chance here. Put a backhand pass in front, and Karem's in! He was trying to pass that to Eric Wilbert, and it bounced in behind Jacob Dold. Need a little bit of luck in this game, and the Indians do get it. Aiden Alexander scores the opening goal, not shorthanded, just after the penalty expires with 6:55 left. PT has the all-important first goal in this game on just its second shot on net. Alexander, I should say, gets his first goal of the season to go with a couple of assists. And that will probably be unassisted considering how that one went into the net. Off a Viking, and some friendly fire victimizes Central Catholic. Here getting toward the late stages of period number 1. So 1-0 Peters Township, and an icing call against Central Catholic will bring it on back into the Vikings' end. Not a shorthanded goal against for Central Catholic, but it has that feel. The Vikings have allowed 1 on the season. Aiden Alexander gets the goal, and the small contingent of Indians fans who've made the trip up here to Alpha from points south of the city fire off a cheer. This is lifted up into the rafters by the Vikings' Dane Martin. And so we'll face it off again in the offensive zone from the PT perspective. Camp will take this draw for the Indians. Camp playing his third game for PT after sitting out the first 4. Had a goal last time out against Seneca Valley, but it was a 5-2 loss. That one didn't go right for the Indians right from the start. Jack Zakin coming off the wall and shooting, trying to go short side against Dold, and that stop was made by the freshman netminder. Loose puck behind the net, gathered up by the Vikings. Here they come now out to center. It's Facciano taking a rink-wide pass from Alex Pampina. Pampina's in the corner. He has it poked off his stick by Kaz Monchek, and the Indians can charge back on the counter. Camp down the left wing, in over the line, dropped it off. McElhaney using that big frame to protect the puck. Swirled a pass toward the middle, broken up briefly. Now Bush will shoot toward the front, and Zakin was knocked down, and that'll be a cross-checking call against the Vikings. Indians will go to the power play for the first time. 5:56 left in the first, and it's PT's turn to take a kick at the can on the man advantage. Peters Township on the season, pretty healthy percentage on the power play, just about 1 out of 4, 5 for 21 specifically for 24%. Central Catholic has killed off 68% of the power play chances against, 13 for 19. So I'm sure Coach Connolly wants to improve that rate. Here's the Vikings' chance as they trail 1-0, but the Indians start the power play with possession of the puck. Seth Hanna sets up shop in the right point area, try to cross-ring pass. It hit a couple of sticks, ends up on the far side wall nonetheless, but it'll be cleared off the skate of Hunter Ferguson and toward the red line. That's where Seth Hanna hangs on, spins away from the pressure of Palawanik. And Eric Wilbert tried a behind-the-back backhand pass to his brother Drew, but it was broken up. Nice read there by Saganek to take it and fire it down the length of the rink. 5:20 left in the first period, 1:22 to go on the first Central Catholic penalty of this game. First Peters Township power play. Mark Lehman gets those long strides going. Gained the zone with speed, but it was poked off his stick. Over to the near side corner, now to the point. Hanna can't hold it. Indians have to try to recycle it here in the neutral zone. Hanna skates one way, passes it the other. Over to this near wing in front of the PT bench for Drew Wilbert. Wilbert's been a special teams specialist so far, if you will. Wilbert, 2 power play goals, 2 short-handed assists already at these early stages, but Wilbert and the Indians' top PP unit couldn't make it happen, so it'll be up to the second stringers. John Camp now takes a pass from Hanna. Hanna Gave it back to Camp, and Camp's cross-ring pass was knocked down midair. Nice play, but Drew Wilbert follows on. Wilbert's still out there. Second minute of this power play. Wilbert has Barrett cutting in. Barrett from the right circle shot it. Save made by Dole. The rebound was there at his feet for a moment, and down on the butterfly, Dole does put his glove down on top of it to get the whistle, with Eric Wilbert right there in his kitchen, but nothing doing for PT on the rebound. 4:19 left in the first, and 23 seconds to go on that Central Catholic power play, or a Central Catholic penalty to Dane Martin. Shot down the ice by Alex Peluso of the Vikings, and it'll be one last rush for PT on this initial power play of the game. Peters Township trying to break a 3-game losing streak. They're off to a pretty nice start here, up 1-0. Zakin gliding, circling, passing to McElhaney. One-time shot, inner edge of the right circle. Save made by Dole. Loose puck. McElhaney gets it, but his back's to the goal. Then he tried to make a pass out to the point, but Martin had come out of the box and disrupted it and broke it up, sending it down in Alex Wilbert's direction. Wilbert hammered it off the boards. It jumped over the stick of Alejandro Pietz. McElhaney circles in the offensive end. Barrett tried to slap pass to the doorstep for Camp, but that was broken up nicely. Beckham Alger did the job there. A couple of freshmen in this lineup for the Vikings tonight, and they made an early impression. Aiden Alexander relays the puck from behind his net for Peters Township. McElhaney, little saucer dish ahead. Too far for Foltz to latch on to. It'll be taken by Alger. 3 1/4 minutes to go in the first period. Bouncing shot in on Alex Wilbert of Peters Township. That was taken by Palawinick. Palawinick now backtracks to the point as Adam Tabaka spun one into the offensive zone a little bit deeper, and the Indians are guilty of another penalty here. Beckham Alger was knocked to the ice, and apparently in illegal fashion. 2:58 left in the first, and the penalties piling up for the Indians in this first period. Alexander will go. Alexander, the goal scorer, now has a seat for what he hopes will be 2 minutes. Another roughing call. That's the second of that variety in this first period for the visitors. Definitely unnecessary penalties. So PT has to work again on the kill. Caden Slavin taking this draw. Slavin swinging at it, trying to get it out of the zone, can't do it. It hits a Viking skate, but there's Seth Hanna to take it and spin the puck down the far wing side, which was unoccupied by a Viking, and that allows the Indians to regroup. Center takes a turnover from the Vikings just inside the offensive blue line and snapped a 50-footer on net that Dold stopped and held. 18 seconds gone on the power play for Central Catholic. Already the Vikings' third advantage of this game, trailing 1-0. Slavin takes a swing at it. The offensive zone, shorthanded draw, always a tricky situation there, and now the Indians will back out as the Vikings have full possession. Salvitti going right up the gut. Now he'll try the right wing and gains the blue line and shoots in. Colin McCarthy. McCarthy gave it up to Saganik. Shooting deflected just wide of the net by Salvitti. Salvitti now in front again, gets a couple of hacks at it, and Wilbert melts it down with the glove hand. No further play. A deflectable shot taken by Saganik out by the point. He's already got one power play assist, looking for a second there. Senior defender has 3 points in 5 games at this juncture, making him the top blue line scorer for the Vikings at this point of the year. Barrett will take this puck. Speaking of that, he has 3 assists to lead the Indians' blue line, and this time he makes a defensive play, though, jamming it up the near side wall, and out it goes, down the rink. Dole, the goaltender, hands it to Dane Martin. Martin skates in a serpentine fashion, gets over the red line just barely and fired it in, and then cleared right past the skate of Salvitti on the far side by Hunter Ferguson. Salvitti tried to get his the steel of his skate right up against the boards, didn't work out, and so it'll be Palawinick. Palawinick with the shoot in. Now he's after that puck himself in this left wing corner. 28 seconds to go on the power play for Central Catholic. Palawinick threw a blind pass in front, nearly connected there with Facciano, but instead it sends Camp down the ice for Peters Township. 1v1. Camp shot it on the cutback move, and it missed high. Dane Martin gets to that loose puck first. Indians with 2 forecheckers in. 10 seconds to go on the Central Catholic power play. The Vikings' third already of this game. Facciano. One last look on the advantage, and that top of the circle shot is easily gloved and held by Wilbert. 2 seconds left on the Aiden Alexander penalty, and 59 seconds remaining in the first period. Lehman will face it off against Central Catholic's Sam Gaffney at the right dot. Gaffney won it airborne. Back to the point. Dom Veltri gloved it down and shoved it down the boards. McCarthy on his backhand. Shuffles it out to Saganek. Back down low. McCarthy backhand right through the slot, and it didn't connect with anybody. Friend or foe. Eric Wilbert spun a pass up ahead to Lehman. Lehman takes a long-range shot. Big rebound off Dold. Rebound again. And Dold made a couple of saves. It's under him somewhere. A great job by the freshman goalie. I thought for sure that was going to be 2-0 with that puck wildly bouncing around in the low slot. Lehman got one crack at it, of course, on the initial shot. Eric Wilbert was there. Lehman again looking for any opening. And if he would have found the puck, it would have probably been in the back of the net considering how close he was to the goal. So put a gold star around that sequence for Jacob Dold. Good stuff. Good scrambling. They call that good tracking of the puck. In a situation you don't really draw up. You just got to fight for it and battle. Speaking of battling, here are the Indians, and Eric Wilbert got to that puck, but his pass in front was taken away by the captain, Sawicki. Good defending there. Otherwise, Lehman was lurking on the back post. Here's Lehman over the line, takes another shot from outside the tops of the circles, and that's right into the crest of the jersey of Jacob Dold, and he hangs on with no rebound. 7.8 seconds remaining in the first period. 1-0 Peters Township here on the road, and the Indians get one last crack at it here with an offensive zone draw. It'll be Lehman against Sawicki. Captain against captain, and Sawicki controls this for the home team, and it's cleared down and out by Saganek, and that'll extinguish the final few seconds here in period number 1. We'll take a short break here on YouTube and bring it on back for the second period. This is Matt Gajtka, and Peters Township up 1-0 on Aiden Alexander. Even strength goal midway through that first period. Stay with us. Back to live action, second period now. Indians up 1-0 on the Vikings. This is Matt Gajtka on the audio call, audio stream on YouTube tonight. Facebook stream not working on the Pittsburgh Hockey Digest page, so improvisation is the order of the evening. Foltz, Anthony Foltz for Peters Township, takes an off-wing shot from the left circle near the dot. That was sticked away by freshman goalie Jacob Dold. Dold now deflects this centered attempt away to the corner. Indians on the attack again. Shots were 9 apiece in that first period. Just one went in. We have another penalty coming up behind the play here as the Indians break up the attempted counter. And yes, we do get the whistle after Seth Hanna touched it right at the red line. Here at the Alpha Ice Complex, the USA Arena, the one all the way over to the right side if you're familiar with the complex. Holding is going to be the call against Central Catholic, it turns out, this time. Beckham Alger skates off, and the Indians get power play number 2 with 16:10 to go in the second period. Both teams came up empty in the first. Vikings 0 for 3, Indians 0 for 1. The Vikings return 11 skaters, but no goalies from last season. And the captain, Michael Sawecki, off to a nice start, tied for 4th in Class AAA in points with 9. And the Indians have 3 players, Lehman and the 2 Wilberts, in the top 6 in points at the moment. And here is Lehman, shooting from the right circle about 35 feet away and snapped up by Dold's glove. Jacob Dold looking sharper and sharper as this night goes along. So Becca Molliger 2 for holding. That's the announcement here. Peters Township up 1-0 and trying to make it 2 here on its second power play of the game. Lehman to face it off from the right dot. Drew it right back to Seth Hanna. He goes D to Ferguson. Backdoor play. Wide open net. They score. Eric Wilbert puts it into the goal. What a pass from Ferguson. The set play for sure for the Indians. And it works beautifully. 2-0 with 15:39 left in the second period. You got to fight for your right. Indians do, and they convert on their second power play chance. That's exactly how you draw it up if you're Rick Tingle and the Indians. Wilbert on the backside. Give Ferguson the primary assist. Give Hanna the secondary. And also give credit to Mark Lehman for winning that faceoff cleanly. So Wilbert gets his 4th of the season. The senior, one of the flying Wilbert quadruplets. He's on the score sheet again. And for Eric Wilbert, his 3rd power play point of the season. He's got 1 goal and now 2 assists to go with that, of course. Came into the night as one of the top scorers in Class AAA. Tied for 2nd in assists, in fact, but he gets a goal here. So PT up 2-0. Trying to get back on track. Indians are 3-3, tied for 4th in the 11-team Class AAA. A couple of newcomers to Class AAA this season. Upper St. Clair and Pine Richland. Indians have seen one of them, Upper St. Clair, losing 5-4 a couple of weeks ago at home to the Panthers. That was an exciting game. Still haven't seen the Rams in their return to AAA. Here are the Vikings now. They've been in AAA for a while. Wrister by Salviti off the blocker hand of Wilbert from a sharp angle, and it deflects into the protective netting over on the far wing side of the rink. An even strength goal for the Indians and a power play goal for the Indians. And we do get the goal announcement now. Eric Wilbert, he's not going to have an easier goal all year because Jacob Dold, the goaltender, had to respect the shot coming from Ferguson because he can bring it. And so once the pass was made through the box of the Central Catholic penalty killing unit, then that was all she wrote. Dold had to hope for a clean shank from Eric Wilbert, or else it was going to be 2-0, and it is 2-0. Puck held in the offensive zone by the Indians and Jack Zakin. Shot it into the far wing corner. Camp can't get to it on the forward check, but McElhaney will bang some bodies, and it does come free to Jack Zakin out near the blue line. Zakin returned it to McElhaney, and now in deeper to Camp. Camp stapled to the boards by Rocco Salviti. 2-on-2 battle for it in that far corner. 13:57 to go in the second period. Indians 2, Vikings nothing from the Alpha Ice Complex in Harmarville, PA. Salviti does get this puck out the center, and it's picked up by Facciano. Facciano, a shot against the grain, and he scores! Didn't look like much of a chance, but he got it over the right pad of Wilbert. And like I said, it was a shot falling away almost, definitely against the grain, and the Vikings have one back. Facciano scores his 4th of the season with 13:44 to go in the second period. At least a 40-footer, if not a little bit longer. Maybe some rust showing there for Alex Wilbert and his return to the crease, but either way, the Vikings will take it. An even strength goal. Facciano now in 3rd place on the team with 6 points. That was a solo mission there. Didn't have any help. He was 1 versus 2 and just decided to shoot it. Never a bad play to shoot it, as we just found out there. So it's 2-1. The Vikings have some early second period life. They score on their 12th shot against Alex Wilbert. On the chase back for the Vikings, Alex Peluso. Again, the Indians relentless on that forward checking pressure. but the Vikings slip it right by them, and now Anthony Foltz and Ryder Mertens will circle the wagons in their own end. Ferguson snapping the puck across rink. It'll float right in on Jacob Dold off the sideboard carom, and Dold hangs on with a couple of Indians right there in his face. 13:09 left in the second period. Last season, Peters Township swept the season series against the Vikings, but it wasn't easy in the game here. That came very early on in the season. That was the second game of the year for the Indians. They won 4-3 in a shootout. That was a wild and wacky third period, if I recall. A couple of goals for either side, quick lead changes and equalizers. That was the only shootout win for the Indians last season. They played mostly regulation games. One shootout win, one shootout loss, and that was it, as the team did not suffer a regulation loss for a solid 3 months. So, well, maybe it's an early theme or a replication of that early theme this year. PT was 2-2 last season after dropping 2 in a row. They're 3-3 this season after dropping 3 in a row. Be a little bit eerie for Rick Tingle and his team. Owen Barrett shot this one into the mix. The Vikings, Saganik, put up the center of the rink. It deflects off of a Indian stick and out to center. Alexander couldn't get it past the Central Catholic bench, where now players change frantically during the flow of play. Saganik got a stick in there, but Mark Lehman yanked it away from him. Lehman, lead pass to Drew Wilbert. Has Lehman going to the far side, and a hard shot. Stop made by Dold. And a hand pass called against the Indians. From where Lehman had that wrister, inner edge of the right circle, it was probably about a 50% chance that was going in, but Dold got over on his feet, importantly, and he was able to close off that high, sharp angle, I think short side shot, it looked like from this angle, from Mark Lehman. 12:01 to go in the second period. 2-1 Peters Township. Indians got the first two. Vikings got one back just a couple of moments ago from Michael Facciano. Facciano tries for a second here, a sneaky shot off a loose puck near the left corner. He whipped it toward net and sticked out of play over the high glass by Alex Wilbert, Indians goaltender. The draw coming up in the PT zone. CJ Simeone will face it off against Caden Slavin, first-year varsity player for the Indians. Slavin helps control this puck, and now Chayton Ringwald takes it after center knocked down a Viking way offside as Peters Township. Caden Slavin was a good 10 feet into the offensive zone, so the draw comes back into the neutral ice area. Try to get you some out-of-town scores here. We'll see if the other buildings are cooperating with live box scores. That's coming up a little bit later here on the show. Kaz Monchak on the retreat for the Indians. Monchak, number 28, the junior defender, playing his third game for PT. Backpedals and saucers one right up the center of the ice. That'll skip all the way down for an icing whistle. Well, already tonight we have a decision on the board. Pine Richland defeated Cannon Mac down at Princescape. So the Rams making a statement there. Coming into the night, Pine Richland looking pretty good in its return to AAA. What's interesting about the PIHL is you go up and down based on merit. It's not based on school size or how many boys or girls, in fact, in other sports, are in your top 3 grades. It's just about how well do you do. If you like a meritocracy, then you probably love the way the PIHL does things. Of course, the Indians have 3 Penguins Cup champions this decade. They've been able to stay very solvent in Class AAA, not looking like they're in any danger of relegation anytime soon. McElhaney, cross-ring pass, good one here to Camp, and he ripped it high over the net from the right circle. PT is finding some seams here in the offensive zone, and attackers are wide open, breaking in on that right side especially. It's led to a goal once on a power play, but a couple of times even strength here recently. They've hit that backdoor man. And right on the tape, too, so give them credit for that. Seth Hanna, long lead pass way ahead of Jack Zakin. There's an icing call. That'll pull it back into the PT zone, down to my right. Indians in the red jerseys, red helmets, red pants, black and white trim. And the Central Catholic Vikings in the off-white jerseys with the gold and blue trim. Predominantly blue pants, predominantly gold helmets for the Vikes. Chance now off the crossbar. My goodness, what a look for Alejandro Pietz, but he could not beat the iron over Alex Wilbert's shoulder. Now Brace center, ripping one from long distance for Peters Township. Owen Barrett shooting, and that's deflected off the glass by Anthony Foltz. Chances on both ends. Pretty entertaining game so far. A couple of teams have given up more than their fair share of goals, so we figured it might be up and down. We might see an offensive display. This will be held onto by Central Catholic keeper Jacob Dold, and nothing further from that on the skipping shot from Owen Barrett. Just a harmless-looking play initially for Central Catholic there, but Pietz put it right off the bar in a bid for his first varsity goal. Off the face-off, Saganek for Central Catholic. Dish it up far wing. Palawanik took the long wrister. Easy save for Wilbert. Indians break it back the other way. And it'll be Mark Lehman. Lehman dragging toward the middle. Lehman's backhand goes just wide of the net. Slick move from the big man. He's a handsy player if you give him a little bit of opportunity. And the Vikings did there. Barrett shooting off the glove of Dold. Shoved right back in front by Drew Wilbert. Looking to connect to his brother Eric, but not to be. Now Lehman back in center ice. Lehman takes it, snaps it on near side to Drew Wilbert. Stood up at the line by Saganek. And now Saganek has the puck go right back to him. Funny how that happens sometimes. He'll lead the rush back for the Vikings. 3-on-3. Saganek cutting into the inside. And he's pried off the puck by Owen Barrett. Back come the Vikings again. It'll be Peluso putting it up the center of the ice. Intercepted by Eric Wilbert, but the Indians were trapped offside, and the whistle sounds with 8:46 to go in the second period. PT 2, Central Catholic 1, here from the Alpha Ice Complex. I was talking about Pine Richland impressing in its return to Class AAA. Now 2-1-1. 5 points. Right smack dab in the middle. 6th place out of 11 teams. And Upper St. Clair at 3-2. We saw how good they can be in that potent attack a couple of weeks ago down at South Point. They gave the Indians all they can handle and more. The goal scorer, Facciano for Central Catholic, shot it from a sharp angle wide. The wrister from the right point by Alger goes off the blocker of Wilbert and deflects out to the left point. Velchery shoved it in deep again. Jake Bush trying to get it for the Indians, but it's poked away from him by Facciano. To the corner, Chayton Ringwald for Peters Township. Threatened by Facciano, so he moved it quickly over to Ryder Mertens. In the far corner, gave it up on the far wall. Velchery below the goal line. In front of the net, Facciano shot it, deflected, and it went behind the net. One-timer had some promise. Now centered by Simeone, and it's intercepted by the Indians, but they can't clear. Mertens gets a second crack at it, and he will flip it out to center. Hard to make heads or tails of this one. Really, both teams have had plenty of looks. Both teams have had their moments. But it's 2-1 Peters Township. More than halfway through it. 7.5 left in the second period or whereabouts. Coming off the wall, Salvitti. Salvitti cross rink. Taking a drop pass and whipping it on net is Alger, but right into the belly pad of Wilbert. And he holds on for the whistle. 7:40 left in the second. Shots even, dead even, 16 apiece per the scoreboard clock. For the Indians, goals from Alexander and Eric Wilbert. And for the Vikings, Michael Facciano. Zakin charging down the right wing wall. He catches up to the puck in the corner. He's in behind the net, but it jumped on him a bit. Ice starting to get chippy, as it does toward the end of the second period. Only one ice cut in a PIHL regular season game, and that comes after the second. Camp hops on a loose puck out near the line. In the offensive zone, McElhaney dragging the puck between the skate and the stick of Peluso, keeping possession. McElhaney out near the blue line. Trying to start a cycle here. High in the zone. Zakin popping the puck loose. Camp. Now Zakin. Zakin can't center it. It's broken up, but not cleared. Hanna. Oh, he just did barely pull it out over the blue line. And so the Indians have to retreat here. Zakin, after Hanna, spun down McCarthy. and no call. Backhand pass from McElhaney between his own legs. Good one onto Zakin. In over the blue line, but Ferguson couldn't drag it around a couple of Vikings. Here comes Central Catholic back. Down the right wing, McCarthy. Shot in. He's out of gas. He'll go off to the bench. Far wing, it's Hanna. For the Peters Township Indians. Hanna downshifts, backhands, and it flops in on net. Dold wanted to hold it, it appeared, but it's dragged away from his equipment by Alger. Alger couldn't make an accurate breakout pass, and now the Vikings have to start again. Peluso up the middle. Good little feed there for Palawanek. Palawanek's shot, and it was weakened on the way by Ferguson, and it ends up behind the net. Attempted clear by Peters Township. Banged off of Palawanek, and it's up into the screen again with 6:08 left in the second. Still Indians by 1 here at the Alpha Ice Complex. After this one, the Indians will stay on the road. They're going to travel up to Erie Cathedral Prep, making their annual journey up I-79, way up I-79. Not exactly the Barrel Ice Complex in the 30-minute drive from South Point. This will be an icing against Peters Township, so we'll do it again. We'll look at that 4-1 final from Princegate. Pine Richland scored 2 in the first, 1 in the second, 1 in the third to defeat Cannon Mac 4-1. Four different goal scorers for Pine Richland in that one. Jack Tyndall, Gabriel Uchak, Richard Wild, and Joseph Fulmer. Uchak and Wild had a couple of points in that one. Mertens, another backdoor play for Foltz on the rush for the Indians, and that one didn't connect, though. Foltz was a little bit ahead of where Mertens thought. Mertens, former middle school star for the Indians program, deflected this shot from Barrett, but it went away to the corner. Not what he intended. Foltz turns and drives it right back in for the Indians. Here's the Vikings Alger, though, with some time to make a play. Up the far side, he finds Pampina. Pampina to Simeone. Simeone's shot from the left wing. Blocker save by Wilbert. The rebound, Simeone had it briefly, but then lost it behind the net. Headman pass from Drew Wilbert. Deflected up into the offensive zone by Mark Lehman. It stops short of the goal line, so no icing. Lehman and Eric Wilbert go to work. Lehman pulls it free, put it in front of the net, about a foot away from the stick of Drew Wilbert. And here's Drew on it again. Drew is dispossessed by Alger. Alger put it up ahead into the offensive zone. Facciano shooting, and it's off the shoulder of Wilbert. Facciano a couple of times has fooled Wilbert. That time, at least Alex was able to get a shoulder on it. The first time, it sailed by him. Drew Wilbert left it at the blue line for Eric. Indians would have been onside, but that pass hit the shin guard of Dane Martin of Central Catholic. Now Martin looking to get around Alexander, but he couldn't pull the puck with him. Forgot the most important thing. Alexander, the bank pass to center. 3-on-2 for the Indians. Drew Wilbert crosses over, put it back against the grain to Eric. Back to Drew. They score. What a beautiful goal for the Indians. The two Wilbert brothers worked a two-man game right down the slot. Oh, goodness. Drew Wilbert polished it off, and with 4:13 left in the second, that was perfect tic-tac-toe offensive zone play. A power play goal and an even strength goal for PT in the second period, and their 2-goal lead is restored. Call it Drew from Eric with 4:13 left in the second. For Drew Wilbert, his 5th goal of the season, and that pass looked, if not airborne, technically it was definitely bouncing a little bit. It wasn't a flat saucer by any means, so Drew had to bear down on the stick and make sure that he got good wood to it, or a good composite to it, as it were, and he did. No chance for Jacob Dold, who otherwise has been strong, but a couple of times he's been victimized by the backdoor play in this second period, off the rush. Camp on the pressure here against Alex Peluso. Broken up by Central Catholic. Peluso now has this one bounce off the end boards on him, right in front of his own net. Poked away by Camp. Still loose at the side. McElhaney trying to gather it, and it drops for Zakin, whose one-timer's off the blocker of Dold and up out of play. 3:24 remaining in the second. Both teams will make wholesale 5-man changes. And the faceoff will be upcoming in the Central Catholic zone. Again, 3-1 Indians on the Drew Wilbert goal. An outstanding play by both Wilbert brothers to stick with it and realize that once you give the puck, you got to go, and they certainly did. Kept those skates moving. I'm just noticing that we have a varsity debut tonight for Tyler Sicanolfi. Senior listed as a defender, but he's playing forward right now. So Rick Tingle just gradually getting everyone on this varsity roster into at least one game. Last time out it was Katie Wilbert making her varsity debut, playing alongside her brothers in that 5-2 loss to Seneca Valley. High slot shot from Sam Gaffney doesn't get through. It was blocked down by Seth Hanna. And then Hanna sends Gaffney down to the ice just for good measure. 2:42 left in the second. Indians up by a deuce here at Alpha against Central Catholic. On the retrieval, Gaffney hammered hard by Seth Hanna. And it's Caden Slavin shooting in deep for the Indians. Slavin on the puck pursuit. Dane Martin played it away from him, but there's Eric Wilbert on it, and unfortunately for PT, it'll be a penalty. And another roughing call, and Slavin shrugs his shoulders, but he's about to be escorted over to the box by referee Miller. PT's first penalty of this second period. They took 3 in the first. Much better discipline here in this middle frame for Rick Tingle's team, but not this time. They'll be short for the 4th time in the game. Up by 2, trying to kill this one off. 2:21 left before the intermission. It's controlled by Mark Lehman. Owen Barrett lofts it high into the near side corner. Eric Wilbert centered looking for Lehman, who made a late cut, but it slipped past him. Now Lehman dispossesses Sawicki at center ice. That was a strong move. Captain on captain battle, and Lehman controlled that one. The forehand pickpocket, and we have a penalty behind the play as Central Catholic shot it in, and Eric Wilbert ended up down on the ice. Picks up quite a bit of snow on his pants. That was CJ Simeone who's being sent off to the bin. So that power play was short-lived. Just 25 seconds for Central Catholic. We'll skate 4-on-4 for almost the entire duration of this second period, barring any further penalties. Penalty comes with 1:56 remaining on the second period clock. By the way, give Mark Lehman a secondary assist on that goal by Drew Wilbert. 5-on-5 play. Hanna, full windup and a slapper off the offensive zone face-off control, and it's into the pads of Dold. He holds onto it, and we'll have another face-off in the offensive zone. Interference is the call against Simeone, by the way. In case you were curious, Drew Wilbert picking the puck off the side wall. Camp spinning, firing, and again, Dold has it with Drew Wilbert causing all sorts of trouble in front of the net. He and one of the Vikings, that's Sawicki, yes it is, were all tangled up in front as Camp wheeled that shot on line. 1:38 to go in the second period. Camp taking the draw here against Sawicki. And Sawicki won it to Saganek. Right back to Sawicki. Dangerous play in front of the Vikings net. But Sawicki ushers it away to safety. Saganek dropped it behind him and taken on by Pietz on the carry back. A bouncing shot on 2 hops in on Wilbert. He traps it and keeps it. 1:23 to go in the second. 3-1 Peters Township. Coming to you on YouTube tonight. Thank you for hanging with me. Indians trying to get back on the winning track. They won their first 3, but they've lost 3 in a row coming into tonight. Central Catholic beat Butler 2 weeks ago, 6-1, but lost 7-6 to Cannon Mac last Tuesday here. A second consecutive home game for the Vikes. Barrett, Owen Barrett of PT, has the puck behind his net. Remember, it's 4-on-4 for still nearly a minute. Tip shot. Veltri took the wrister for Central Catholic, and it looked like Salvitti got a piece, but it hopped into the near corner. Indians on it now. They break back. Eric Wilbert cruising down left wing. Dropped it off for the overlapping Lehman. Lehman to Alexander. Back to Lehman. Under a minute to go in the second period. Lehman takes it here from Eric Wilbert, but it's poked away from him. Good defensive move from Dom Veltri of Central Catholic. Palawanik. Cross rink. Over to Salvitti, but Salvitti's return feed was intercepted by Aiden Alexander of Peters Township. 15 seconds to go on the penalty to Caden Slavin of PT. Back in front of the Central Catholic net. Turned over. Barrett slapper. Save made. Rebound. Oh my. Lehman missed the half open net with the backhand chance on the rebound. And the net's off its moorings down to my left in the Central Catholic zone. 23 seconds to go in the second period. The Indians tried to make a late change here, but couldn't pull it off. Referee said it was too late. Of course, as the visiting team, they have to go first on the face-off. Indians on the power play now. Back to action here. Drew Wilbert coming off the wall. Wilbert cuts right in front of the net. Couldn't get the shot away. It was defended by Sawecki in front of the net. Down to 8 seconds to go. Puck in the neutral zone. Pulled off the wall by Facciano. Couldn't get the shot on target. Alexander. His backhand relay finds McElhaney, and you heard the buzzer there. Time runs out in the second period. 2 goals for the Indians in that frame, 1 for the Vikings. PT leads it 3-1 after 34 minutes of play. 17 to go in regulation. I'll take a break here on YouTube and bring it on back for the third, and who knows, maybe more if the Vikings have another rally in them like they did last week. 3-1 Indians after 2 from the Alpha Ice Complex. Stay with us. Set to begin third period play from the Alpha Ice Complex in Harmarville, PA. I'm Matt Gajtka on the call for you as Peters Township carries a 3-1 lead into the final regulation frame. 1 goal in the first, 2 in the second. For the traveling Indians, Aiden Alexander, Eric Wilbert, and Drew Wilbert have those goals. Eric Wilbert working on a 2-point night, in fact, with the primary assist on his brother Drew's goal, being the most recent one in this game. That came with about 4 minutes left in the second period after Central Catholic had cut into the 2-0 Indians lead. And now PT will start the third with a 4-second power play. So it appears they are about to go 1 for 3 in this game unless they get a miracle goal off the center ice draw, and they won't. It's taken and dumped in by Rocco Salviti of Central Catholic. And, well, the Vikings were down 3 twice last week. They made it very interesting against Ken and Mac before falling 7-6 here at home. See if they can do the same thing tonight against the Indians, who are hoping for a drama-free third period. Vikings can't clear. Eric Wilbert put it behind his back on the backhand side, but it's poked out to center by the Vikings' Max Saganek, senior defender. Back to retrieve. Hunter Ferguson for the Indians. Slams it around to the near side. And it's picked up by Eric Wilbert. Up to Drew Wilbert. He has Mark Lehman making a move toward the slot, but he flips it past him and into the corner. That puck is put right past Mark Lehman by Rocco Salviti. And on the fresh ice here to start the third period, it skids out into the neutral zone. Flipped right back in by the Indians' Hunter Ferguson. Senior defenseman now looks on and makes the play at the blue line again as the Vikings can't clear. Mark Lehman got a stick on it. Now Lehman heads off to the Indians bench in front of me. PT in the red traveling uniforms, moving from left to right. Central Catholic in the off-white home jerseys. Attacking down to my left. It'll be Salviti, overtaken in the high slot. Seth Hanna again, he's been clutch tonight, helping generate possession for the Indians. Hanna. Pass across the offensive zone. McElhaney glides behind the net. Try to wrap around with that long reach of his, but he just missed, stuffing it inside the right post. Jacob Dold slid over, but just a second too late. Seth Hanna on the take back for PT in his own zone. From the left wing corner, Camp now skating backwards, couldn't pull it free of the crowd, and it'll drift in on Alex Wilbert, making his season debut, as I mentioned. Wilbert through 2 periods of play. 18 saves on 19 shots, now make it 19 of 20. At the other end, the freshman, Jacob Dold, really he's held up his end of the bargain tonight. He's been beaten a couple of times, but they've been on open nets. Actually, all 3 goals, not his fault. 2 open nets and a friendly deflection, not so friendly deflection from one of his defenders. Jack Zakin looking to run the gauntlet, his backhand as he was in alone, and he's stopped by Dold. Dold showing some athleticism here. Now Camp on the one-timer on the pass from behind the net by Zakin. That stop made by Dold, and the net pops off its pegs. That's the reason for the whistle with 14:41 to go in the third period. Still 3-1 Peters Township. Camp just stationed himself at that right post, waiting for the pass. Coming back to him, and he got it. Indians win the draw. Alexander from the left point. It's deflected wide of the net by Ryder Mertens. Right point now. Barrett floated a shot that missed, but Mertens is on it first for the Indians. Couldn't drag it free, though. Unable to clear that were the Vikings after Dane Martin made the intercept, but now they'll skate it out to safety. Simeone on the chip in charge. He goes in after his own dump. Barrett from behind his net. Barrett being harassed by Simeone. It's loose to Cam Cardiff, who tries to center it. Now it's free to Tyler Gaffney. Sharp angle shot, even below the goal line shot. That floats off a stick and over to the corner. Again, the Vikings recycle it, and it's ripped off a body by Dane Martin. It bounces in behind the net, and it's on the top of the netting behind the net, and it was last touched by a Viking, so the Indians will get a break there. It looks like the face-off will come out in the neutral zone. And Dylan McElhaney looks like he's having an equipment issue. He skates off, goes down to the locker room through the door on the far side of the ice where the two teams come out. Benches on the near side, locker rooms on the far side, as you often see in most recreational rinks. Vikings in possession, or pardon me, Indians in possession. Now Vikings break up the lead pass. Facciano got a stick on it, and it'll be Dane Martin stopping on a dime behind his net. Fed it on the near wing. Saganek. Headman pass. Facciano couldn't handle it. Saganek again, just in front of the Indians bench. Has it ripped away by Drew Wilbert. Facciano shoots long range in on Alex Wilbert from center. Wilbert sticked it away to the corner. And Kaz Monchek leads the charge back for the Indians. But his pass a little inaccurate off the tip of the stick of Drew Wilbert. But Drew gets on that puck behind the net. Look to center it in front. And it's taken away by the Vikings and banged right back out to the PT line. Bush taking the D-to-D pass from Monchek. Lehman couldn't receive it cleanly from Eric Wilbert at the Central Catholic line. Simeone. Drag move, and that shot is blocked by Monchek, who appears to be wincing a bit, but he took one for the team there effectively. Drew Wilbert on the carry back into the offensive end for the Indians. Down to my right, look to center it for Lehman. That's off a skate, and lifted off the glass by Facciano, and it ends up hitting someone on the Central Catholic bench. Puck out of play technically, even though it stayed in the rink with 12:40 left in the third period. Well, the Indians, having played 7 games after tonight, will have next week completely off. I misspoke there. That trip to Cathedral Prep is in December, not this month. They'll be at North Allegheny on the 21st of November. So they get more than 2 weeks off, in fact. Tyler Siganolfi looked to shove this to the front off the offensive zone face-off win. Caden Slavin couldn't make a play. Back on the Vikings 3-on-3. Floated shot in on Wilbert. He makes the stop. Charging after his own rebound was Pietz, but to no avail. And now Seth Hanna and Jojo Palawanik get tied up at the side of the net. They exchange a couple of minor cross-checks, and nothing called from that. Now Chayton Ringwald getting involved with the young man named Jojo, and they're separated. He was Joseph last year. He's Jojo this year on the roster. Right circle draw for Central Catholic. Sawecki. Bouncing puck off the scramble. And the Indians poke it to center. Sikanolfi lays it ahead to Slavin, but a good read from Alex Peluso of Central Catholic. Couldn't get it out, but at least broke up the rush. Colin McCarthy played it off the wall. Another try here. Again, the Vikings can't clear it. In front of the net, it's bouncing around. Is it in the net? No, it went off the post and came right back underneath goaltender Jacob Dold. And now sticks come up in front of the goal. Boy, I think that Chayton Ringwald nearly had a goal there. Now he's going off to the penalty box. Either he or Sikanolfi, they were hacking at a loose puck in front. I lost sight of it for a moment, and then all of a sudden it was off the iron, off the right post, skidding along the ice, and right back in under Dold. And then we get a penalty from the sequence with 11:54 to go in the third period. Central Catholic is going to get a big chance here as Chayton Ringwald is being sent off for 4 minutes, a double minor. So call this first portion of the double minor power play number 5 for Central Catholic, which came into this game converting at a 30% clip. Nothing tonight on 4 opportunities. But here's a tremendous chance to get back into it down 3-1. Shots are even, 22 apiece. But the Indians have had the better chances as of late. Second period belonged to them. Deservedly so. They've been able to slice and dice a little bit more in the offensive zone compared to Central Catholic. But here's Saganek, a strong skating move to get away from Bray Center. Saganek's low shot from the right wing. That's patted away by Wilbert to this near side corner. At the point, Peluso goes cross rink. Saganek shooting, save made, rebound loose, a shot deflected, and it's poked away from the front of the net by Barrett. Came free again, another drive by Salviti. That's blocked down and cleared by the Indians, and it'll be a penalty against Central Catholic, adding insult to injury there. Central Catholic thought it might have had a chance there for a second goal, and it did. Salviti took the initial chance off the big rebound in front of the net, the vibrant rebound off the stick of Wilbert, but it hit a stick on the way, and now we'll play 4-on-4 for the next 2 minutes, barring any further penalties. Saganek is sent off. Central Catholic officially now 0 for 5 on the power play. We'll wait for the official call, but it does come with 10:55 to go in the third period. This is Matt Gajtka coming to you on my YouTube channel tonight. Facebook Live not functional for Pittsburgh Hockey Digest. I apologize for that. I'll look to make a post later this evening on the site so you can listen to the game after the fact. That Ringwald penalty, by the way, was for roughing. Just heard the announcement. Battle forward in the PT zone. It's 4-on-4 for the next minute and 30. And a 3-on-1 for PT if they rush. Jack Zakin takes a cross-ring pass down the right wing, put it across the zone. Ferguson shooting, but he was way over toward the side boards. And by that time, the Vikings had gotten a second player back defending. That was Facciano. So good hustle from Central Catholic to prevent what could have been a clinching rush for PT. Still up 3-1, though, are the Indians, and a sharp angle wrister from Facciano, left side, bottom edge of the circle. That skips off of Wilbert's shoulder, and now the Indians touch the puck in the offensive zone. Zakin, he was allowed to by the Vikings. They wanted to hand it over. It's a delayed call against Seth Hanna. Senior defenseman goes off to the box. Now the parade to the penalty box picks up. And this will be a 4-on-3 for the next 101 if Central Catholic doesn't score on it. Power play chance number 6. $9:56 to go in the third period. PT still up 3-1, but they have some difficulties here with penalties accumulating. Ringwald still in the box for 2-0-2. Hanna still in the box for 2. He just went in. And that was another penalty away from the play. You heard someone on the Peters Township bench say, stop taking the stupid bleeping penalties. And I can't disagree. They're not penalties related to chasing after the puck or trying to make a play. It's rough stuff away from the puck. And that's the type of thing that you don't want up 3-1. You don't want it any time, but especially not while nursing a lead. It's still 3-1. Under 10 minutes to play in regulation time here at Alpha Ice Complex. But the Vikings rev it up. It'll be Dane Martin looking to cut inside, but play broken up and shot down the ice by Aiden Alexander. Martin tried to go all the way himself. Now let's see what the Vikings have cooked up. It'll be Simeone gaining the blue line. It's a 4-on-3 power play. Plenty of open ice out there. Simeone settles in below the goal line. Makes a pass out high to Martin. Fakes the slap shot. Feeds it far side. Palawinick looking to go cross-ring for Simeone, but it's off the stick of Owen Barrett. And out to the blue line, and it flips out to center. Lehman got that last touch on it to make sure it cleared. 12 seconds to go on the penalty to Saganek. After that, it'll be a 5-on-3 for the Indians. Draw pass. Martin shooting from between the circles, and it bounced off a body and out of play. Once Saganek gets on the ice, it'll be a 2-man advantage once again for Central Catholic. Just under 9 minutes to play in regulation time. Peters Township leads it by 2, but that lead looking tenuous at the moment. And it'll be a solid minute on the 5-on-3 for Central Catholic if the Vikings need it. Eric Wilbert to face it off for the Indians against Michael Facciano, who pokes it in deep. Barrett gets to it and rips it off the rink, or down the rink, off the glass. And that's a key clear to start this now a 2-man disadvantage penalty kill for Peters Township. Reaching out and just poking it in deep is Rocco Salvitti down the left wing side. Salvitti gets to that puck first. To Facciano. Out high Saganek. Top of the left circle. Ripped it off of Ferguson's skate, and it deflects wide. Cross-ring pass over to Alex Peluso. Peluso and Saganek on the points for the Vikings. Half a minute to go on the 5-on-3. Right side, it's Peluso putting it off a skate in front of the net, and now Saganek gets to that loose puck. Saganek giving it off to Rocco Salvitti. Salvitti lost control out to the blue line, and it just skids out into the neutral ice area. 14 seconds left on this 5-on-3. Saganek can't get past Eric Wilbert at center. In 6 seconds, Seth Hanna will come out of the box. Down to 3 and 2 on his penalty. One last chop clear from Ferguson, and the Indians are just like that, back to full strength. Ringwald and Hanna emerge from the penalty box. Big-time effort from Peters Township. They never really gave the Vikings a clear chance on that 5-on-3, which lasted just over a minute. 7:40 left in regulation, still 3-1. And Central Catholic, by my count, 0 for 7 on the power play tonight. Shot into the offensive zone by Sawicki. Tipped away from the sidewall by Peters Township's Kazmonchak, and driven down the ice again, except this time it'll be an icing because PT's back to full strength, 7:17 to go. Well, I said looking ahead for PT, North Allegheny coming up at the Barrel Ice Complex in Warrendale on the 21st. That's a Thursday. And then the following Tuesday, a couple of days before Thanksgiving, it'll be the Miners Cup rivalry game against Cannon McMillan. We'll hope to have full video for you on that one, on that night, on the 26th of November. The South Hills rivalry is renewed, first of 2 matchups with the Big Macs. Right now it's still 3-1 against the Vikings. Turning drive, a couple of saves made by Wilbert. One on the first chance from Simeone, one on the rebound by Peluso. And well, these nets do come off rather easily here at Alpha, and again it pops off to the left of Wilbert. That buys a whistle for Peters Township on the scrambling play. 7:06 to go in the third. For Central Catholic, they're looking at a 2-game week next week, both on the road at Upper St. Clair. Wrist shot coming from the point here by Dane Martin, patted away by Wilbert. Still loose in front of the net, they hack at it, and Wilbert got a whistle even though the puck was still loose at his side. He fell backward into the net, doing a snow angel, and reached down with his blocker hand, a la Dominic Hasek from 20 years ago, and did freeze it just after that whistle sounded, so he got the benefit of the doubt. Anyway, Central Catholic will be at Upper St. Clair at the Ice Castle next Monday, the 11th, and then the 14th at Pine Richland, and the Rams call Barrel Ice Complex their home as well. Much like this facility and the one down in South Point, Princescape. Several teams playing out of it across classes. Mertens run over by Saganek. Good clean check. Back to the point, a shot and a score! Might have been deflected by Sawicki in front. Alger got the shot away on the one-timer, and it was tipped off the post and in, and Central Catholic, just like last week, making it interesting, making it tight late. It's 3-2. After all that power play time, after the 2-man advantage, it's an even strength goal. Scored by Sawicki, who now has 10 points on the season. He celebrated like he tipped it. I believe he got the magic wand to it. Just changing the direction of it ever so slightly, and it was enough to fool Alex Wilbert and get past him. Get past that right pad before he could pin it to the post. Give Alger the assist, the second of his freshman season here on the varsity team. And that gives the Vikings fresh belief with 6.5, well, actually closer to 6 now to go in the third period. Indians back on the attack. Alexander's wrist shot from the right point. Slavin deflected it to the corner. Camp is on the battle here too. Camp had a goal last week. Can he get another one here? It would be a crucial one. Cleared down by Sawecki of Central Catholic. And a quick whistle for an icing call. 5:54 left in the third. What's become a tight one again. 3-2. Indians on top. Sawecki from Alger. Sawecki gets his team-leading 6th goal of the season on the redirect during 5-on-5 play, and the Vikings now lead in shots 30-23. PT had 15 in that second period. Drew Wilbert has a goal in this game, got to his own rebound, but tipped it wide. Wrister from Ferguson, deflected into the crease, and where's the puck? It's underneath Dold. He jumped on top of it in the blue paint. Eric Wilbert was ready for it to pop out, but it never did. So Jacob Dold putting in a fine performance here, keeping his team in it. Mark Lehman will take the draw for Peters Township. Bumped it back to Drew Wilbert. Looked to go down low for Eric, but it skipped past him. The puck's still behind the Central Catholic goal, though. This is Matt Gajtka on the YouTube call tonight from the Alpha Ice Complex in Harmarville. The Indians are attempting to end a 3-game losing streak, but now it just got a lot more dramatic than they wanted. Simeone lifts it from the corner over to the far side. Kick to his stick by Dane Martin of Central Catholic, out by the blue line. He shoved it back deep. Ferguson, oh boy, looked to make a pass in front, and Simeone cut off that lane, and it bounced off his stick and out of play over the net and beyond the high glass. 5:04 left in the third. Beckham Alger gets the lone assist. I think there was another one, though. I can't recall who made that pass from the far side. Neither here nor there. The goal still counts regardless of the scorekeeping. And now Central Catholic forward checking like demons there in behind the PT net. Sawecki looking for another one, but Aiden Alexander will control for the Indians. Looking poised, but he has his pocket picked by Palawanik. Palawanik put it around the horn. To the far side, Mertens. Pietz overskated for Central Catholic. It's back in front of the PT net. Alexander backhanded it away to the side wall. Anthony Foltz up to Mertens. 10 feet inside his blue line. Couldn't get it out, but now Foltz will help out with the puck support and kick it out to center. 4:19 left in the third. 3-2 Peters Township. Loose puck, Mertens pulled it around a man. Brace centered, coming to the goal. Left-handed, or left circle pass, I should say, in front of the net from the righty, and it's blocked away. Now Hanna shooting. Nearly offside were the Indians. Alexander just barely held it in, according to the referee. Might have heard the Central Catholic fans up in arms about it, and was really close in their defense. Now Mertens shoots, and why the whistle? It looks like, again, the net is off its moorings. That shot was blocked in front, but it might not have counted even if it went in. 3:50 to go, and an offensive zone faceoff upcoming for PT. John Camp to take it against CJ Simeone. And the Indians Camp won it, but it'll be hopped on first by the Vikings. Alger cleared it. Indians put it right back into the mix. No icing here. Dane Martin from behind his net. Martin stops and feeds it against the grain over to this near side. Gaffney. His backhand play does find the safety of center, but it's McElhaney retreating. Finding Camp. Another good puck support play from the Indians. Camp over to Ferguson, but his diagonal pass ahead's too far for Zakin, and an inadvertent clear and an icing call against Peters Township. You could hear Ferguson yell, "My bad," from across the rink there. Just too much on it. A little too aggressive. But hey, if it works, then it's a great scoring chance. Offensive zone draw control by Central Catholic, and a deflected shot in on Wilbert. He kicked it away athletically with that right toe. Saganek shot it. It was tipped by someone, maybe an Indian, maybe a Viking. Hard to tell. Either way, it was a dangerous chance. Now Saganek on the retrieval for Central Catholic, but it'll be intercepted by Drew Wilbert and put right back in behind the Vikings goal. Clipped out to the red line by Central Catholic. Barrett puts it right back in for Peters Township. Under 3 to go in regulation. 3-2, Peters Township over Central Catholic. Barrett has it poked away from him by Saganek. But now Barrett gets it back on the bouncing puck. And he'll at least return it to the Central Catholic line. Peluso put up into the offensive zone. Delayed offside against the Vikings. Ferguson, they tag up now, and it's a legal play all across the board. Barrett gives it back to his defense partner Ferguson on the far wing. Ferguson's pass redirected up into the offensive zone by Eric Wilbert and right in on net where Jacob Dold sticks it down and holds on. 2:24 showing on the third period clock. Just past 10:30 p.m. This late night face-off from the Alpha Ice Complex is coming down to the wire. Foltz will take the draw for Peters Township, the junior first-year varsity player. Wins it cleanly. Alexander wristing toward the slot, blocked down there by Dane Martin. Martin tossed it up into the air to the red line. Put right back into the offensive zone by Seth Hanna, but Foltz can't make anything happen from those right wing boards. Alexander on the right side now in his own end. Takes it from Hanna, gives it up ice to Slavin. Slavin poke check there by Martin. Under 2 to go in regulation time. 3-2 Peters Township. Hanna clears it across. Alexander again. Very calm with the puck. Alexander saucers one over to the far side to open space. Hanna retreating back into his own left wing corner. Lifted it high off the glass. It goes down the ice. Camp on the chase, but it'll be just barely another icing as it skidded over the goal line. Indians can change. And now we have a timeout called by the Central Catholic Vikings. Coach William Connolly wants to talk it over with his squad. Well, how'd we get here? In the first period, Aiden Alexander scored an even strength rush goal that was aided by a friendly bounce in front off of a Viking player. That was the only goal of the first period. And on Alexander's first of the season, PT had an early lead. It became a 2-0 lead on a power play when Eric Wilbert put in a backdoor pass from Hunter Ferguson just about a minute and a half into that second period. The Indians had a power play conversion, and they were up by 2. But shortly after that, just 2 minutes later, Michael Facciano scored his 4th of the season on a harmless-looking wrist shot from out high in the zone. It skipped past the right leg of Alex Wilbert, Indians' starting goaltender. Wilbert making his season debut after fighting through a lower body injury at the start of the year. But Facciano fooled him, and with 13:44 left in the second period, it was 2-1. Then the Indians made it 3-1 when Drew Wilbert scored on a tic-tac-toe play. He and Eric Wilbert played a give-and-go down the left side. Eric Wilbert feeding it into the wide-open net from right in front of the goal. Mark Lehman got the secondary assist. The top line struck for the Indians yet again. And it was 3-1 going into the third. But Michael Sawicki, the captain for Central Catholic, scored on a tip shot in front of the net with 6:30 left. And that's how we've gotten to 3-2. Here comes John Camp up ahead. It's an empty net down to my right, and Camp is going to feed it into the empty net. Just a miscue out high from Central Catholic, and Camp buries his second goal in as many games. And they're rolling down Rodeo. Indians up 4-2, 1:30 left. That should just about do it from Alpha Ice Complex. Sometimes it comes easy like that. Sometimes you don't have to fight too hard for the empty net chance. Very sudden strike for the Indians into the open goal, and Jacob Dole will go right back to his crease. Well, the Vikings had everything they wanted. They had an offensive zone face-off. They got the timeout. They were talking it over. 6 skaters on. I barely even had a chance to set it up, and all of a sudden Camp is skating in with a breakaway to the empty net. That's a dream as a player. No trouble with that one. John Camp. Point-blank shot from 10 feet away. Nothing but the back of the goal. icing call here against the Indians, 1:18 left, and PT doesn't like that call. Owen Barrett, looking back to his bench, he's saying, I was pretty sure I was at the red line. But with a 4-2 lead, the Indians can at least laugh that one off somewhat. So John Camp gets the even strength empty net goal. And Dylan McElhaney gets the assist on the empty netter. So Camp, who was a phenomenon last year, played about a half a season and put up a point a game. Nearly a goal per game, if memory serves. Vikings net is empty again. Saganek clears it away from the front of his net all the way down into the Indian zone. Ferguson tossed it up off the glove hand of Drew Wilbert. Now Mark Lehman goes for that empty net, and he missed it from behind the red line. And with a 2-goal lead, that's okay. He was crushed after he shot it. And with 53.4 seconds left, it's back in the Indian zone for a face-off. 4-2, Peters Township on top. Here tonight, streaming on YouTube with the audio feed. This is Matt Gajtka coming to you live. If you are listening live. If you're not, then it's not live, obviously. Vikings control this one. Back to the point, and a wrister tipped off the glove of Wilbert. Salvitti put it on target. Now it's Saganek snapping one from 45 feet away, and that's a more sure glove save from Wilbert, and he holds on to it with 42 seconds to go in the third. Again, our next broadcast will be on the road at the Barrel Ice Complex. A couple of Thursdays from now on the 21st. Peters Township looking for revenge against North Allegheny in another Penguins Cup final rematch from last year. North Allegheny won 3-0 a couple of weeks ago at Peters Township, and now we have an old-fashioned rodeo in the corner, it appears. One Indian, that's Seth Hanna, tied up with one Viking. They were rolling around on the ice. That's the captain, Michael Sawicki. One of the referee's hands was in the air, so we will have at least one penalty coming from all of this nonsense. And now Camp exchanging a couple of gloved blows to the chest with Jojo Palawinick. And it appears tempers have calmed, at least for right now, with help from the two men in stripes. Rhymes and Miller are their names. I'd like to give them some love whenever they're breaking up a scrum like that. One penalty to each side, it appears, will be the case. Hanna for Peters Township and Sawicki for Central Catholic with 34 seconds to go in the third period. I don't think it's going to affect the play on the ice. There'll be coincidental minors, maybe, he said, with a question mark at the end. Yes, the Indians will have 5 men on the ice, and so will the Vikings. The face-off will be in the neutral ice, and it'll be just outside the Peters Township blue line. So goals in this game for Alexander, Eric Wilbert, Drew Wilbert, and now John Camp. Eric Wilbert, the only one with the 2-point night. He got the primary assist on Drew Wilbert's goal, so he gets my first star. Second star to Drew Wilbert, at least by my accounting. And the third star, give it to Alex Wilbert, the senior goalie, who gets back into action and is about to pick up a victory in his 2019-20 debut as a senior. The young man who, as a freshman, led the Indians to a Class AAA state championship. Maybe one last shot here is gobbled up by Wilbert. It's that man again on the wrister from Salvitti on the right circle side of the ice. And more talk and chatter after the whistle. Maybe one last face-off in this one. Indians want to change, and they'll send Caden Slavin and Tyler Sikanolfi out there making his debut. Chayton Ringwald as well. Well, all three of them are looking for their first varsity goal, so I get where Rick Tingle's head's at here. But the Indians lose the draw. Hops on back to Salvitti, can't get it through, and Ringwald pops it out to center ice. Ripped right back in. It's delayed offside. Vikings have to tag up. Barrett will settle in behind his net. He'll give it up to Ringwald. Ringwald looks up to the empty net. lost it to Palawanek, and now it's driven down the ice and into the empty net, but well after the buzzer by Barrett. Time runs out, but Indians win. Indians win 4-2 at the Alpha Ice Complex in Harmarville. PT's back on track. The 3-game losing streak is over, and the Indians improve to 4-3 on the season. 8 points. They are now just a couple of points out of the lead set by North Allegheny early on. And as for Central Catholic, the Vikings dropped to 2-4, and now 1-2 on home ice are the Vikings. They will stay in a tie for 7th place, at least as far as tonight's action is concerned. Thanks so much for listening this evening on YouTube. Again, this is Matt Gajtka saying good night and God bless from Harmarville. Talk to you next time. And also reminding you that when the radio fades, you know life's moving fast. Next broadcast, hopefully back on Pittsburgh Hockey Digest Facebook page on November the 21st as PT travels to North Allegheny. Until then, have a great couple of weeks, and I'll talk to you soon.